Okay. So, okay, so, okay. Okay, so let's get started. Basically, none of my cameras have battery, so I decided to make this video just straight on the live, just, just because. So, what do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about how society programs fear and anxiety into you as a human being. How? How is this possible? That's what we're going to talk about today. So, why do people, I got my notes here and I'm ready to make this video for you. So, let's do it. So, why do people feel so much anxiety in this day and age? Why is so much of society scared? Basically, there is a lot of power and money available to individuals and organizations that perpetuate this fear because it serves them economically. What do I mean by this? There's a lot of power available to individuals and organizations who benefit from you being fearful. How is that possible? How can someone benefit from you being scared or anxious? Find out right now. Society programs this into you. When we are in fear as human beings, we completely shut down. Literally, parts of our brain shut down, so our thinking is totally limited. The body prioritizes survival over thinking, which makes total sense. So all the blood rushes to the body, to the vital organs, because the body is going to prioritize survival over thinking. When people think less rationally, because they are in fear, they are easily manipulated. That is what we're seeing today in today's society. Everything is driven from this base that as a human being, you are basically, you have so many problems, you are totally incomplete, and you need all these external things to fix your problems and fix yourself. Essentially, that is the society that we're living in today. You can position your belief system as a cure to that fear. You see a lot of celebrities doing this. There were some crazy cult leaders who did this. A lot of politicians do this. You create this enemy, this false enemy, and you create yourself as the solution to that fear. What am I even talking about? Well, take for example when we were kids. Just think about when you and I were kids. If you and I are the same age right now. When we were kids, do you remember how much they talked about terrorism and how much like how much they made up this story about how the Middle East was like this huge enemy and there were all these terrorists and they were just out to get the West. You remember that lie? Well, there's an example of how people exploit fear for their own benefit. Is that just a super broad example? It's a super clear example that we all know about and we can all agree on. We all lived through it. Nobody even talks about that anymore. Like, what? How does that make any sense? How was that such a huge thing 15 years ago, 20 years ago? And now it's just not even, it's not like, we all know it's just a hoax. So, what motivates people at a primal level is talking about what they fear most. So if you talk about what people fear most, you're able to motivate them. Our body releases hormones that slow or shut down actions not needed for survival. When anxiety and fear, what someone constantly consumes, when anxiety and fear is what When anxiety and fear is what someone constantly consumes, like whether it's on the news, whether it's on the Instagram feed, whether it's on Facebook, all these violent videos that are on Facebook, when that's what you constantly consume, then that's basically just flooding your body with all these hormones. And you're going to be making decisions from a place that is completely limited, from a mindset that isn't using your full brain because it's shut down by fear. And if you make life decisions based on this based on this state, if you make these life decisions that are driven by stress, you just create a whole bunch more stress in your life. Of course, right? I mean, it's just 1 plus 1 equals 2. In order to have emotions like joy, as humans, we need to perceive that we're in a safe and comfortable environment. That means to be able to eat and relax and digest well and sleep, we need to be able to perceive that our surroundings are safe. And we have a negativity bias. What does that mean? Basically, our brains are hardwired to look for signs of danger because our brains are not actually designed to make you happy or, you know, and for survival. And so, if your brain is designed for that, then it's naturally always looking for cues or always looking for any signs of danger or a threat. And so, if that is what our brain is doing all the time, then naturally it's just going to have this negativity bias. Yes. Why do we have this negativity bias? Because the brain is always searching for cues of danger, cues for danger. The world we live in is capitalist. So big pharma, politicians, mass media, they're all out to get your money. Like let's not sugarcoat it anymore. I was gonna say another word. Let's not sugarcoat it anymore. These people are just out to get your money. So all these people are just going to not really care about you as an individual, what your needs are, what the best thing for you is, what the best thing for your health is. All they really want is to just, forgive me for using this term, but milk you for your money as much as possible. Big pharma, mass media, politicians, okay, they care much more about money than they care about you or me. So sadly, we need to live our best lives. We need to be the ones who care about living our best lives because no one else is going to care about that for us. If they don't have your best interests at heart, we need to have them ourselves, personally, individually. The more we learn about the brain, the more we learn the brain is not wired for happiness. I already said this. It is mostly a stress reactive machine. Its job is to keep us alive. Again, repeating this point. Why? Because I don't know, I guess growing up we kind of had this idea that it's like, oh, why am I not happy? Why am I not feeling joy right now? Like, I should be feeling happy, I should be like this. But it's just basically because your brain your brain is just not designed for that unless you, as we said, unless you are in an environment that you perceive as safe. And what is anxiety? If that's fear, that's when what is fear? What did we talk about? Did I even explain it properly? Basically, our body releases hormones that slow or shut down actions not needed for survival. So that's when our body is in a state of fear. And when we're in a state of anxiety, anxiety is just the anticipation of a future event that is bringing us worry and discomfort in the present moment. Like it's basically this desire to escape the present moment. It's the anticipation of something that isn't present but is causing you fear. And it's almost entirely mental. Let's remember that. Anxiety is almost entirely mental. The news, it prioritizes viewership. Why did I just jump to the news? Because the news prioritizes viewership. If your brain is constantly scanning for threats, your mind fixates on negative subjects. So it's only natural that we fixate on the news, that we fixate on these negative subjects because they know that our brain is hardwired for that. Our brain is designed for that. That's why you don't see channels of good news. That's why nobody follows pages of good news, or barely anyone follows it, because our brains are not hardwired to be addicted to that. Our brains are not as excited by that. If your brain is constantly scanning for, okay, I already said that. We live in an attention economy. If you can hold people's attention, that can be very lucrative. Everywhere around you, what do you see? Every time you're on the tram in the morning, when you're on the bus, when you're just out walking around, people are just down on their phones constantly. You go on a bus, 95% of the people are just looking down at their phones, just like that. So attention is everything in today's world, and if you can hold attention, you can make money. It's that simple. People, okay, people eventually believe what they hear most often. Repetition, scientific studies have shown that repetition has a profound effect on the psyche. Repetition is a method used to program your subconscious mind. A lot of these meditations, if you do them, if you listen on YouTube, a lot of the times they will be hour long, 2 hour longs, and they will be sort of 20-minute segments that repeat themselves if you're doing an affirmation meditation, for example. Because this repetition, hearing these words on repeat for an hour, 2 hours, as you're falling asleep, it goes straight to your subconscious mind. Why am I looking down? It goes straight to your subconscious mind. So, scientific studies have shown that repetition is a method used to program the subconscious mind. Why is this important? Because if repetition is if repetition is what programs your subconscious mind, I'm getting a bit too crazy. If repetition is what programs your subconscious mind, then imagine all the things that you see on a daily basis that are just repeated from the day before. Whether it's stuff you see on the TV, whether it's advertisements that you see when you walk around or on your phone, whether it's people that you interact with. Well, people you interact with, that has nothing to do with this. But I mean, things you buy, places you go, like the bakery to buy, or places you go to buy coffee. So just remember this about repetition and how it is used to program the subconscious mind. There, I said it like for the 5th time in a row. Emotion combined. Okay, so basically, repetition has a profound effect, and repetition combined with emotion is what really hypnotizes your subconscious mind. If you get emotion involved, you can really mobilize that subconscious part of humans, of the human psyche. So social media do this, TV shows do this, music does this. How often do you listen to music that you can hear the words that they're saying is like not really good, it's not really high vibe, but the beat is just so amazing, and the music, the melody is just so good that you need to listen to that song on repeat. How many times does that happen? Meanwhile, all those lyrics are going straight to your subconscious mind, whether you're aware of it or not. And politicians, so basically we see how the news and the media does this. And how do politicians do this? They use fear to divide people, to push them to a certain way of thinking. Herd mentality, belonging. What is the most important thing in the world? The sensation of belonging, the sensation of belonging to a family, a tribe. That's why people get so crazy about sports teams. That's why people get so crazy about people they idolize, and they defend them even though they've never met these people, and these people don't even care about them. It's this sense of tribalism which is innate in all of us, and it goes back, it's deeply rooted in our history. So people exploit that in this capitalist system. It's really easy to exploit deep-rooted feelings and sensations that are universal. These people know what we're all collectively going through. These people know. What am I talking about by these people know? Basically, certain groups and organizations study all of this to be able to benefit from it by making money off of it. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say people are trying to destroy you, take over the world. I'm just trying to say that this world is a capitalist system and it runs on that, on money. So any way to make money is a way to survive in this world, right? So people people exploit other people's emotions and fears and stuff. So how do politicians exploit your fear? This herd mentality. We were talking about this herd mentality. We regress to tribalism when we feel afraid. When we feel afraid, we regress to being in the tribe. That was the term. Politicians bank on fear and tribalism. If you can feel, if you can make people feel part of your tribe, they're gonna vote for you. If if you can create that sensation of community, of a huge group, a huge team, people are gonna vote for you. If you can create this feeling of us versus them, we don't need to listen to them because the other side is wrong. The other side doesn't know what they're talking about. They're the problem. They're why we're having so many problems. When you can create this mentality in people, you can mobilize them and you can get them to vote for you, you can get them to support you. Education. How do they do this in education? So basically, how do we see this in the school system? Fear. Where do they promote fear in the school system? Well, we could say that they do it basically from an early age. It pushes this fear of not fitting in to begin with, not getting good enough grades like your classmates, not getting, not being popular enough like your classmates, not being as good as your classmates in certain subjects, all these different things. I basically repeated a few things there, but it also pushes career fear and university fear by the time you get to the later stages of school. If you don't do this, this, and this, then you won't be successful. Fear and anxiety is used. Think of how many people stress about exams. Think about how many people, like, hearts start racing, they get nervous, they don't sleep the night before. How much time do they waste stressing over exams, over sitting down at a desk and writing a written exam or taking an oral exam? Just think about it. Think about how many times you felt stressed at school. What about if it wasn't even for an exam or for a presentation in front of the whole class? What if it was for a sports event, if you had to race against other students and you were nervous before then? Or before a big sports game, or before before performing on stage. Think of all these things. And religion also use fear. Now, I wanted to get to an important part before finishing off this video, is also how marketing and sales use fear to push sales, to push profit. Companies really prey on fear of missing out to make profit. They really push this idea of scarcity, urgency. How many times do you click on an ad and it's like, this offer runs out in 24 hours, quick, quick. Or they say this, that's the urgency or this scarcity. There's only 10 copies left. Get your copy now before they run out. And then you check the page like a week later and it's like, there are only 10 copies left. Get your copy now. It's like, what the fuck? You were just lying. I mean, what? You were just lying. The society sells you lies about everything. Be hyper aware of your consciousness and what we consume. We've been taught to believe that what we consume is just what we eat and drink and breathe. But what we consume is also what we consume with our eyes and our ears. Also, who you put yourself around, where you put yourself around. You're also consuming through your environment. So we need to be hyper aware of what we are consuming. And especially when we find ourselves on our phone, consuming things that are wasting our time, that are eating down our limited time that we have on this planet. We need to be hyper aware of that. And I mean, basically watch my other videos on what not to consume, but this was just more about how society programs fear and anxiety into you. And we can get into those other things another time. But yeah, if you like what you saw here today, you can buy all my artwork and prints down below in the links. You should definitely check it out. I have some great pieces, and you don't even have to buy prints. You can buy phone cases, you can buy whatever. Also, support me on Patreon. To my Patreon supporters, I have to thank you so much. It's just amazing that what you guys do for me. Really, I can't even believe it. Without you, I wouldn't even be here today. So, thank you to my Patreon supporters, and yeah, if you want to join my other links, check them out and buy my artwork. Okay, remember, don't be fearful and anxious because society programmed it into you.